was just doing some little studies, and what I often do is just cut up designs and use the backs. So I'm just going to cut some out. So I've got that one, I might just cut that in too. It can be any shape you like. I just like to utilise the paper because I do like expensive paper, so I often use Fabriano. Now you could do this in a sketchbook, but the advantage of having little shapes like this is that you can go back to them. You don't have to flip the page and wait for it to dry before you do that. You can just keep swapping around and adding little details to it. One thing is I tend to kind of always do too much, at one step too far, and I get a little bit carried away, and I just wanted to experiment with very simple brush strokes and just being very careful that I don't do too much. So what I'm using today is some salt. I just grind it straight from this. What else have I got? A little bit of bleach. This is probably 20 bleach to 80 water. I've also got some Brusho, and if you wanted to try Brusho, which is a pigment powder, you could always just start with moss green. I always say that because it's so brilliant in the middle of flowers, and it's also multifaceted. It has tiny purple, green, almost yellow hints to it as well. Don't worry if you don't have that though, you can always just drop in a deeper colour. And the other thing that I really wanted to show you was how to use gouache and drop it into watercolour. It has a very extraordinary kind of feel to it, and I love it. It's just because of the different viscosities. So this is Titanium White by Daniel Smith, and it's gouache. So I'm just going to be using this gouache, and the rest is watercolour. And I just wanted to kind of really demonstrate some very quick and easy techniques just to enhance your watercolour work, and you might want to bring it into your florals. So just move these to the side. As for colour, you can go for anything. I am going to use my favourite quinacridone lilac, and this is Daniel Smith. Let's put some there. I want to use tones and shades using white. I want to use neutral colours, so I'm probably going to mix that with some green and then some white. This is one of my favourites, which is cobalt green turquoise, and I'm just going to add a little bit of that, tiny bits, because I want to build up the layers and just do this very simplistically. And I also used a little bit of neutral tint to add to those two colours. I've also got a little bit of yellow, I think that's Hansa Yellow Deep, and I have here Apatite Genuine, Green Apatite Genuine, and here is Undersea Green. Just pull that forward. Undersea Green, Green Apatite Genuine, Quin Gold, neutral tint, and a cobalt green turquoise. A little bit of white here. I'm just going to add a bit more there. And I'm going to just start with mixing some of this quinacridone lilac with some of that neutral tint which was already in this bit of the palette here. Look at that, isn't that gorgeous? Let's just put that straight on the page and then you can see. I'm just going to do like a rolling technique here. Add some water. I don't want to think too much about it. And look at that colour, that is lovely. Let's add some white to that. Now, I'm just going to put that on a different page. I just want these to be quite random. These are just little studies. Now, before that dries all together, I'm going to just go in around the edges a little bit. That's kind of quite watered down. Now, what I wanted to show you, if I just go in with a deeper pink here, I'm not really using my brush in any normal sense, just rolling it. If I drop in a little bit of white gouache, it has this kind of amazing effect on the watercolour. Isn't that beautiful? So you could always just try that. That's lovely for if you're doing wild roses, which have kind of a very pale centre. You could always use this technique with that. Look at that, just amazing. Isn't that beautiful? So underneath that, another way of mixing a dusky pink is just to add it to green. So let's just mix. Oh, that's lovely. Oh, look at that. Lovely cauliflowering. Just going to add some here, a slightly different colour. Pick up some of the water and drag it down. Paper's going to behave differently because you're using the back of it. And of course, it's the other side that's really good for watercolour, but I hate throwing things away. So we've already got a lovely splashback kind of thing there. Why not use a little bit of salt? So I'm just going to leave that there. I'm adoring this already. And might just add a little bit of this blue, and I'm mixing it with neutral tint. I don't want it to overpower. Just want a nice kind of little bit more cobalt turquoise there. But use any colours that you have. I mean, it doesn't actually need to be pink and blue. What I wanted to show you is a technique that I devised from Brusho. Okay, so I'm going to use the end of a skewer, but you could use a dry brush, you know, as long as there's nothing wet, because it will just stick to it. I wanted a very delicate feel to my Brusho use, and I realised that actually, from a mistake, I could do this, and I've just added that to a dry bit of the paper. And I hope I can film this. I'm going to pick it up and just blow. Isn't that gorgeous? This is good for some of the tropical flowers that you might want to paint. It gives that lovely speckledy feel. So I'm going to just add a little bit more of that. Put it here and then see where it goes. So it's very subtle, but I really love it. And while I'm here, I'm overworking this piece now, which is something I was setting out not to do. But if you get a more pigmented colour and you can go in, this is a lovely technique for a lot of flowers actually. Just go in and you kind of just roll your brush round like this, and it forms this kind of petal. So that's another option there. I'm going to put that over there so I don't mess with it too much. Look at this. Beautiful. I love this kind of dusky, ooh, what colour is that? It's pink going towards a lilac almost. So let me show you another way of using bleach this time. I'm just going to scrub some water on this one. I'm going to mix a bit of all three actually. A little bit of neutral tint, quinacridone lilac, and a bit of green. Just make shapes. Oh, that's gorgeous, that colour, isn't it? Add a little bit of water. And then I'm going to just drop in some bleach. Always kind of just roll in some green around the edges, and I'm going to use green apatite for that, mixed in with that. So what we're doing there is we're mixing in a lot of different steps between the quin lilac and the green, so that if you want a dusky pink, you go more towards the pink with a little bit of green, and then if you wanted a kind of a more earthy green, you add a tiny bit of the lilac to that. It's called quinacridone lilac, but I always see it as a pink, and I use it that way too. So you can see there what I'm doing is just bringing a little bit of that over, and you get this kind of lovely olive green, and it looks kind of like they belong together. I kind of do feel that that's an easy way to make a piece more cohesive. So just add a little bit of whichever colours you're using to each other, and you know, kind of just brings out like a happy marriage. So that's using bleach. I'm now going to add in a bit more. And you'll see me using this technique in the Rose watercolour class. Spending way too long on this piece. I'm meant to be kind of just quickly moving through them all. So that's kind of bleach, and it gives this kind of lovely dreamy feel, I guess. Let's look at this one again. I think that's my favourite so far. Using salt is just amazing. So pretty. Alright, let's do another one. So what I'm going to do this time is Do you know what, I might as well use what I've got in the palette here, this kind of yellowy mixture. I think it's the Hansa Yellow Deep. Let me see if I can find it. And this is gouache. Just want to kind of do some nice yellowy florals because spring is coming. Oh gosh, I've got so many cat hairs around because I'm working from my bedroom at the moment and the cats just walk all over the desk. I do have to remove my water because I have a Maine Coon called Moku, and Maine Coons are just fascinated by water, more so than most cats, and so he just goes around knocking over any water. He won't do it to tea, anything else, just water. Gotta knock it over, gotta get it on the floor, or all over some expensive paper, which happened a few weeks back. Right, so before that kind of dries too much, what I want to show you is how to use the Brusho, slightly watered down. So this is that moss green again. And this is the beauty of this, because you can use it in all different forms. You could use it dry as the powder and kind of blow it in, or you can kind of just very slowly add a bit of water to it. And we can see here what kind of effect that has too, and why it's so great for flowers, because it immediately kind of gives you a centre if you're looking for that. This is already dried a bit because I've been talking too much. It's beautiful, isn't it? And you can just keep adding, and that circle will get a little bit bigger. I sometimes find that the watercolour starts to flow back in and you lose some of this, but isn't that gorgeous? I'm just adding some green to this as well. You get some just gorgeous effects. That's green apatite there. So you can make it kind of multi-coloured. It doesn't have to just be that Brusho. So, you know, you could add in your Brusho and then you can add a bit of green. And it just flows. So that's a cool technique for if you're doing florals, you know, particularly loose florals, and you want a centre, a quick and easy centre. And I've got to say that some of this is going to be down to the green apatite because it does granulate, and it's just really beautiful. So that's another technique. Let me show you there. Okay, I think I'll do one more. You do need a bit of space when you're doing this because they all gather. So let's do a little bit of everything on one page. That's a little bit of that Hansa Yellow Deep gouache. I'd better just add some more Quin Lilac. But I do want these kind of very neutral colours. So just going to spend a wee bit of time preparing. I want all of these to kind of merge in really. A trick that I learnt actually not that long ago was it's much better to bring water to the area that you want to flow rather than pull it out. So what happens then is you don't get hard lines. I mean, my water's a little bit dirty now, but you get the drift, hopefully. Right, let's get in quick, and I'm going to blow in some Brusho, moss green, and nice. What's about a little bit here? Should I turn the page around first? Don't know if you can see this. Magic, so beautiful. Okay, let's get on, move on. Kind of a more pigmented brush. A drop of bleach, I think, in that. This time I've just added that white gouache to the paint. So that's very hard to do without camera blurring. It's a bit of salt. Got a bit heavy-handed there. So we won't see the results from that straight away, but these are what we've done. That's a different technique as well, so there's loads of things that we can continue to explore together, but for today I hope that's kind of given you just some inspiration. And again, what I was using was Brusho, moss green, salt, bleach, and then the colours were, let me go through them again, Hansa Yellow Deep Gouache, and that's neutral tint. This is Quin Lilac, Green Apatite Green, and Undersea Green, which we didn't actually use in the end. A bit more neutral tint there, a little bit of the Cobalt Green Turquoise. Gosh, I'm doing so well remembering all these. White, and that's gouache. So remember, just for a very easy starter with all of this, use watercolour, and then you can drop in white gouache and watch the magic happen. So thanks for joining me, and I'll see you again soon.